Uh-oh.
Sorry.
No connection indicator.
I know.
One moment. Let's check if we're. But it says the YouTube is live. Uh,
Checking. Yeah, it is.
Facebook is live. Okay.
Just
Okay.
no indicators.
Yeah.
How would? Hmm. But yeah, definitely I can see YouTube.
So yeah, for people watching not live in the future, this is a live recorded live stream.
Can you check audio levels?
Blah 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 blah. Okay. Yes. It's a very technical test. Blah, 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 blah.
Why are you testing that way?
It worked. Yeah, give us a moment. We're because it's a live stream. We're trying to get people on board by sharing links to the live. Got a hustle for your audience.
If you're watching this because it's the recorded version, we will take a few minutes before we start the show as we manually reshare our stuff.
Yeah, and you can skip ahead or listen to us make idle prattle as we try to buy time.
Okay, sent to the mailing list. YouTube is running. There's someone already there because it has 3 likes.
Oh, how
I'm not
strange.
sure who. We can't see who's online, so if you are one of the new people watching, please do send in comments so we can see if you're there.
Yep, yep, yep. I'm still in the process of like grabbing the YouTube link and porting it over to Twitter.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that should get things through.
Okay. Feed running, reshared on
Oh, and then
Twitter,
there's the view count. It's
YouTube
active
running.
already. Not sure what happened.
So the shirts are again making us super bright, like burn out, white out.
Well, I've always been smart.
I guess that's okay.
And there's really that no no. If I wander into
Hey,
if I
Swana.
wander into edge too much, I blur out.
Hmm.
Right?
Because there's not enough light hitting you anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have that hard edge. But then look, see now, yeah, there it's still
It's
hitting
still
me.
there.
This rear light thing. It's stronger than our main. It is. Look at it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I'll try plugging to that one next time. The main here, because it's the outlet. Yours is still to the laptop.
Mitch's first hello is very scary. It's Hell 9.
Batteries to power, turbines to speed. Okay, I guess we can start.
Sure. Let's roll credits and we'll be right back. Uh,
Oh yeah! Baduy Pride!
This is Toby.
and this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. This Friday, we're talking about anything we could think of. And I decided the topic will be movies and fear. Whether it's about movies that touched on things you're afraid of, movies that made you start fearing certain things, or just movies about scary things.
So it's pretty broad.
Because it's October.
It's October. Toby is coming to full power, so we're just going to celebrate the things I don't like watching. I like I promise like this month my scary thing that I will try to do is I'll watch like those Netflix haunted house series
What? Why are we watching those?
because I haven't seen them.
Which Netflix haunted house series? Oh, the haunting of Blythe Manor and the
Yeah, and things
Okay,
like
okay,
that,
okay,
right?
okay.
Right?
I approve of this because they are well written.
Yeah.
But I thought if you're like gonna watch whatever documentary about haunted houses and stuff, I'm like, why don't? I'd rather we watch American Horror Story or something. At least my arte yung shoot.
Hmm.
Then
Or we can go back and like watch like Hellraiser, Okay, because I've never
it's
seen it.
visually interesting, but it's not that nice.
Okay, okay.
So that's a good one. Black Sana says Octoby.
Mm.
Mm.
It sounds more like an octopus Toby, which is also like very
That
on
also
brand.
works because even my feet can pick up things.
We've been watching What Did You Eat Yesterday?
Ah,
on
such a
Netflix.
beautiful show.
It is not scary at all.
And
It's
it-
so feel good.
and it's scary because it's like they spied on us.
It's a lot of echoes of us as a couple. I just keep because we just watched right before this, and then the way Kenji reacts to food, it's like it's so Toby. and then we have this. All right, it's like super side story before we begin.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because like Toby's so like one of us may be doing chores in between like an episode. Like Toby was doing dishes earlier, and then so automatic when we're watching subtitle content, and then the other one can't like fully pay attention without asking. We've gotten into the habit of we just start reading the subs aloud.
We dub it for the other
We dub
person.
it. We dub it for whoever is unable to watch. And then like so earlier, I would add like directions like, oh, and then Kenji opens the ref looking for breakfast. And oh, he makes that face you make when you find cake in the fridge. It's the peaches. And then he eats the peach. And then he makes that face when you eat something you really like. So yes. Okay. All right. Mark says he's also vaguely curious about the Netflix movie Escape from the Undertaker, which is a pro wrestling themed Netflix choose your own adventure featuring the Undertaker and New Day. Never heard of this.
Well,
Wow.
Netflix has been, I guess, taking the lead on interactive media. The earlier versions included the Kimmy Schmidt one,
Which we still haven't watched. And then the Bear Grylls
the Bear
the
Grylls
reality
one, and then
thing.
there's one more.
um it was like there was a Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
There
I
was
was
a
about
Black
to say
Mirror.
it was a show we used to watch.
The one with the guy?
Okay, but yeah, Bandersnatch. There you go. So,
yes.
let's talk about horror movies. What was the first movie that scared you?
Realistically, the first movie that scared me was either The Never-Ending Story
Mm-hmm.
or Return to Oz.
Never ending story because of the swamp, or was it because of the?
I think the
villain?
Rock Biters.
Mm.
I think the Rock. I don't. I remember it as one of the first movies we watched that I got to
Mhm.
watch in the theater, and mind you, I was very very young,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember closing my eyes through most of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those like if you think back to the edges of your memory, like what are your earliest memories? That is my earliest memory in a movie theater, and I know it was The Never-Ending Story.
So Mark shares first horror memory was probably the Brave Little Toaster.
The Brave Little Toaster. Why was that a horror movie for you? But okay, there are scary bits.
And then Critters. Yes.
Oh, you know what scared me about Critters was not the movie because I've never seen any of the Critters movies. But I remember they made like a giant standee in
Mhm.
one of the movie theaters,
Mhm.
and that freaked me out.
Mhm.
The only thing that scared me more is that whenever we would visit
But
my
this is-
grandma's jeweler and or the PX shop in Ali Mall,
Mhm.
there was a whole row with like religious statues,
Mhm.
like really big wooden religious statues.
Yes.
And I don't know why it freaked me out every time. It just felt like they were all watching.
So, my horror highlight would be Cujo.
Yes.
And in some ways, I can't help but think that might have been the thing that started my fear of dogs.
Mm.
It was a Stephen King adaptation. It was an adaptation of a Stephen King book or
Yes.
short story, to be more. No, book. It was a book about a mother and son who get trapped in a car because of a rabid Saint Bernard.
Was it a Saint Bernard?
Wasn't it?
I've never watched Cujo.
That's what I remember. And it was only recently. There, see, look at the pictures.
It does look like a Saint Bernard. Yeah, it's a Saint
And
Bernard.
then it was only recently that I found on Twitter because it was like the anniversary or something of
Okay.
Cujo. And it was a guy in a suit.
Being the dog. Yeah. That much I've heard.
And
I've
I was
heard.
like, what? The whole time I thought it was like just a puppet but I never realized it was a guy in a suit. And that was awesome.
Good job.
But that freaked me out for the longest time. And then I think the second one to have still left a mark on me. To the point that it is an irrational fear that hits me even if I don't want to, is Jaws.
Because
I've
and you can
I
swim.
know, yeah, I swim. I enjoy or love seeing sharks and all this and that, but I do now have that fear of something in the water swimming up to me, and so I have trouble sometimes in the shower closing my eye.
Oh, interesting.
When I swim and it's clear water for distances, I freak out. So like when we did that thing in Boracay,
Oh,
I had a panic
the
attack,
helmet diving.
diba? And I had to
Okay.
go back up, and I was like, "Toby, stop it, calm down." And I went back down. Um, when I'm in a swimming pool, I can't close my eyes underwater for long. I start freaking out,
Oh, that's
and it's
interesting.
annoying because I know it's stupid.
Yeah.
It just still has that trigger on me.
Okay. Okay. That's I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm.
Tristan shares his first horror movie was Poltergeist. He remembers grade one on Betamax.
That's the kid with the TV screen.
They're here. I
What-
remember watching it
Wasn't
on
that also
TV.
Wasn't that also the one with the silver ball with spikes?
I don't know. That sounds Hellraiser, but I haven't seen
No, no,
Hellraiser.
no. Wait, let me double check. Let me double check. Poltergeist.
Ball. Images?
No, I guess not. What is the horror with the silver ball?
Mark also says it sounds
There.
Hellraiser.
Phantasm. That was Phantasm. I was mixing the
Phantasm. Okay, okay, okay. I haven't seen that either.
Mhm.
And it's funny because like me not watching horror for most of my life though. But there are a few things like I insisted on watching.
Mhm.
One of which was Puppet Master.
Mhm.
Not
Yes.
and not the Puppet Masters, but the one with the marionette slow New Moon Entertainment. Oh
Mhm.
my god. They made like trancers and stuff. But yeah, they were the ones with like these Nazi puppets, which was scary. But I was just so fascinated by the stop motion
Mhm.
animation that I just got so into it, even though they were super cheesy.
Yeah, I remember in this one the guy with the drill head.
Yes, yes. Um, Black Swan said Child's Play was
Child's
his.
Play was Child's Play was a movie I liked, but I did not like the modern versions. Because the
Mm.
modern versions had Chucky now have a full personality. There's even Bride of Chucky and all this and that. And I don't know, it kind of got very B movie for me in the bad way.
Mm.
Because the original Chucky was B movie ish, but it was fun in a horror way.
Okay, I bring up Puppet Master because the full moon line of stuff was weird because there was Puppet Master, there was Evil Toys, I
Hmm.
think, and then eventually, I know there was Puppet Master versus Evil Toys. It was like super B movie stuff. Ooh, Sloppy Barrels is here and says Puppet Master. Oh God, that gave me the creeps when I was young. Yeah, it was very disturbing actually. But then I don't know, I super got into it for some reason. Um, okay. And then things that literally brought about phobias. You remember when Arachnophobia came out?
Hmm.
And it was a bit of a big deal because it was Amblin, diba? So it's like
Hmm.
Amblin, but it's Touchstone. So it was Disney-ish.
Hmm.
Um but then it really pushed this fear of spiders. And I remember like, yeah, you could feel them you can feel them running across your back for
and
some reason.
and they took really good shots, like you know um, those spiders creeping in the background with the lead not noticing the 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 close-ups of the face and all that, or those the person's blind to the fact that it's closing in.
Yeah.
They're all moments you could relate with because you might be in that position any point in
And
time.
okay, and it's tagged as a comedy horror movie,
Mhm.
but I got legit stressed
A
out.
lot of comedy horror movies for younger audiences were nothing but horror. That
That's true.
later on you realize were comical.
That's true.
Like one of the most prominent comedy horrors was The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes,
Oh, okay,
which was
yes.
super stupid.
Yes.
But even
I've only seen clips, but then really like there's a giant like cardboard
Mhm,
tomato on on clearly a wooden panel
mhm,
with like luggage wheels
mhm.
rolling down the street, and then it's like
And you
ah.
have the crowd is quiet, then one goes tomato, and then everyone ah. So it's really stupid like that. But there are still moments that are tense. This is a nice segue to Tristan's question of definitions: horror versus suspense. Actually, I'll add to that. There's horror, there's suspense, there's thrillers.
Hmm. We didn't quite do definitions because we're just tackling movies and fear, but
Mhm.
it's good to cover it while we're here.
So unofficially, and I only use the word unofficially because I'm not using any references, but
Yeah.
based on what I remember and know, um, the term horror as a film genre only rose into prominence from to separate it from suspense films,
Okay.
um, because of the advent of gore and super bloody special effects.
Okay.
So a
Okay.
lot of suspense films in the earlier eras had less gore and more implied violence due
Mm.
to the ratings um, and the authority boards and all this and that. Which is why one of the most terrifying movies back then, which was in the Bates Motel,
Psycho.
Psycho, um, actually had a lot of the stuff off camera.
Yeah, there, you don't see a lot of gore
Diba? There's a lot
per
of
se.
the stabbing motion. There's a lot of the blood on the water. There's a lot of the curtain tearing off. There's cuts of the figure stabbing off camera. But there really wasn't gore.
Yeah.
But that already was such a terrifying image.
Mm-hmm.
Come early 80s, late 70s, special effects was having such a ball wherein we can blow up heads, we can cause water to burst out in the color of blood, we can flood the elevator and fill the hallway. So that suddenly was like, that's not suspense. That's too much. That's over the top. Hence the term horror was
Okay.
coined as the type of movie it was, which then becomes a challenge between thrillers because a lot of suspense movies were considered thrillers.
Okay.
But later on, the term thriller started to be used more for um, suspense in terms of military, spy, and the like. So, whereas suspense movies, depending, of course, who you ask, some would say that's interchangeable, but some would
Okay.
say suspense movies would be the monster with off-camera horror and stuff. Thrillers would be more spies, blackmail, espionage, double crossing, and then some say it's the vice versa.
Okay.
So, um, but that's where it all falls under. Which is why there are times you'd see the newest thriller, and then when you look, it's a Mission Impossible movie.
Yes.
But then other times you'll see the new suspenseful film, and then you'll watch it, and it's like, okay, it wasn't that scary, but then it's because it was trying to target a certain demographic and the like.
Quick looking around. So like, there's a Medium article where they write about the difference between horror and
Mm-hmm.
thriller. So they say that while a work of horror is will often merely fill the reader with dread,
Mm-hmm.
a thriller relies on suspense through each development of the
Yes.
story, give readers, or it's a book comparison,
Yeah.
feelings of excitement, anticipation, surprise, and devices such as red herrings, plot twists, cliffhangers.
Mm-hmm.
Horror depends more on appending the world we know and rejecting
Yes.
normal conventions.
So in terms of movies,
And hello, Noel.
if the bomb explodes and body parts fly around and people are dead, that tends to be a horror film. But then if the bomb is ticking and you spend the next 2 minutes knowing the bomb is ticking. That tends to be a suspense film or a thriller film, depending on the genre.
Tricky. Okay, so Sloppy Barrels over on YouTube is asking, what horror movies do you recommend for people who don't like jump scares and loud noises? Oh,
Okay.
this is me.
So the interesting thing there is the movies that I would recommend that don't rely on jump scares tend to be worse. And I mean
I can
worse.
get this.
I mean worse because they keep you in that constant state of tension.
Yes.
The thing about jump scares is they only work because of the sound.
Mm.
So if you want to actually watch horror films that tend to have jump scares and you don't think you can handle them, watch them muted or watch them with like 5 or 10% audio lang, then
And
subtitles on,
subtitles. Yeah.
and you'll realize how unscary it is. And then you can watch it again with the full audio na and you won't be that affected. So that's my easy trick of, you know, if you can't handle the film, then do it that way, and then you can watch it again. But okay, so that's the effect they wanted. In answering the question, though, more specifically, horrors that don't have jump scares and loud noises. Um, so the thing about horror is it's very subjective. We recently watched M. Night Shyamalan's Old,
Ooh.
and um, we didn't quite like it. But if you watch it with the perspective of someone who is worrying about their parents getting old, who is worrying about what will happen if I get older and this and that, then the movie feels terrifying because you're seeing outright what can happen. You're seeing,
In like real time,
yeah,
in our accelerated pace.
and that's how it is. There was that other movie. I think it was called Changeling, and I think it had Angelina Jolie in the role, if I remember correctly. Her child gets kidnapped,
Mm.
and I found it to be a dragging movie. But then I had a friend who has a kid, and she was terrified by that film. She couldn't imagine what it would be like to be in that scenario.
Funny thing, when we watched what was it? Was it Volcano? I think it was Volcano. Is that the one about the volcano that appears in LA?
Mhm.
Okay, Volcano. So I think it was Volcano, one with oh my god, I can't remember now. Fugitive Sheriff.
Why are you suddenly me? Why are you me?
Anyway,
Fugitive sheriff?
yeah, every outhouse, hen house. Oh, who is that? Who is that? See, no. And then, and it was an okay movie. It's
Mhm.
like it has excitement, whatnot. Weird
Mhm.
disaster movie.
Mhm.
But like to some degree, like my sister was like, she felt oddly affected by it at the end of the movie, only because it was set in LA,
Mhm.
and then it made it somehow more relatable because we had been there,
Mhm.
and we spent 2 years of our lives
Yes.
there. So then it felt slightly more real than it should have, which is
Mm.
interesting. So
It's
so
more, the moment it's more relatable, the more you feel
yes.
that it is a horror. So some recommendations. Mark suggested Ju-on as a movie that has no jump scares.
And I guess go back to like the original Ju-on, not the American
Mhm.
remake, because the American one kind of brought back jump scares.
Surprisingly, the Blair Witch Project, which was so terribly marketed in the Philippines, that's why so many people hated it when they saw it, is a good movie with no jump scares and builds on dread.
Mm.
Midsummer is a good one too. It has that, oh my god, I don't want to see this, but it's about to happen.
Okay.
The others I don't recognize. The others listed here. Rosemary's Baby is considered a classic. I found it boring. But again, maybe it's because I've never had a kid, so I
Maybe.
couldn't relate.
And it's like also to some degree, and I feel bad about this, but there are some older movies that but just because of how movies are made now, then
Mhm.
it's hard to get away from the it feels fake.
And
And it takes away from
and
the
in
impact.
addition to that, a large part of what makes horror such a challenge is the level of exposure an audience has had
That's true.
can affect it greatly. In relation to that, so Sloppy Barrels did mention, what was your opinion on Babadook? A lot of people say Babadook is one of the best horror they've seen. When I saw it, I liked it. I wasn't super impressed. But that was because I realized I could see a lot of parallels in how they approach that movie to let the right one in, to um
That movie with the guy.
high tension, um, to um, oh my god, my brain's not working. Jacob's Ladder. So there's since I kind of knew what they were going to do, I anticipated it, and thus it didn't hit me with the horror.
Mm.
Um, I loved it because Babadook, you went full paper puppetry and stuff coming to life because it was like the storybook monster. And then near the dramatic finale terror moment, we were like seeing the book come to life. Na the monster's coming, but then it's like the drawings coming to life, and later it's like the parents are there with the drawings and stuff. So it was like awesome theater stuff.
Okay.
But of course, tayo, we're like, oh, Judges Atorna did that already. Stuff like that. So there's that level of exposure can affect how horrific something
Because
will
if you've
feel.
seen similar content, then it takes away from the
impact.
impact of
Yes.
seeing it in other forms.
Okay,
'Cause you
Tristan
recognize it.
shares. High school teacher showed the blob in class instead of having a lecture. I think she didn't have anything prepared.
What
that
was the
day.
class that you were okay
Yes.
to watch the
And I
blob?
will admit, I freaked out when I watched the blob for the first time.
Really? I haven't seen it, but why?
I guess I was afraid it would come out from the bathroom.
Okay, I thought but this obviously did not develop an irrational fear
No,
of Jello for
no.
you, because
I did end up wondering how much they had to create that movie. Because oh my man, that's like rooms full of Jello.
worse. Imagine what it smelled like under theater, under movie lights.
I know.
So, ooh. Okay. Dennis is over on Facebook and asks about what do
Oh
you
my
think
God, I
about
don't have Facebook.
Wicker Man?
The Beast.
Not the beast, not the beast.
Okay. I struggle to find horror the moment Nicolas Cage is present,
Okay.
and I feel bad because he's not a bad actor.
Actually, I feel like a lot of named actor or like actors who have a very established career and a wide library of movies, sometimes it also takes away from the
Yes.
thing, which is why a lot of like some of the best horror that people celebrate is often
Unknown
actors, because then the story really comes forward.
Or actors who are good enough that the person dissolves away. So like one of the best.
Dennis clarifies, not the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. But then
Okay.
we're all gonna say the beast, not
Then
the beast.
then it's a classic. It's hard to really appreciate. Oh, Noel, Blair Witch works better in video than movies.
Home video than theater.
Any shaky cam movie works better on video than on movies.
Would you say even laptop versus TV? Like, is a
Yes.
smaller screen better?
Yes, because the smaller screen allows you to still peripherally see a larger, not moving thing. So even if it's like super shaky, you'll be fine. Um. Okay, yeah. So going back to
Wicker Man?
Man.
Okay.
Wicker Man is fun, but I think I like Children of the Corn more in terms of crazy, crazy farm related small country community horror.
Okay, let's take a moment. Let's unpack why, and it's just one of those things that it just as an introductory talking point when we
Mhm.
first started dating. Then you're
Mhm.
like, I like horror movies. So let's talk about that. Why do you like horror movies so much?
My original joy of horror movies was I did want to be a filmmaker,
Okay.
and I was fascinated with the special effects.
Mm,
So
okay.
I used to like buy Fangoria and all those other horror magazines.
Fangoria,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was like the same people who made Starlog.
Starlog, of course, was the other one.
Starlog is
So,
the geek
so there
one.
was Starlog, Fangoria, and then there were two more. I can't remember their names right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But I used to buy those, and I'd read and super love when they talk about how they did the effects.
Okay.
I used to try to buy latex and um, make my own blood, everything from the maple syrup with the food coloring to this and that, and be like, um, I learned how chocolate syrup is perfect for black and white horror films.
For
And
blood.
and then learned very quickly that just because your camcorder is showing things in black and white doesn't mean it will play in black and white when you put it on
The
TV.
classic trap of the old camcorder.
Yes. And oh my god, the other thing there was just because you don't hear audio when you play it back in the camcorder doesn't mean there's no audio in the TV. So I shot a horror film with my sister Tracy. This was way back in the late 90s. Can you imagine? It was a point of view camera of a serial killer because that was me with the camera. It was her running around the house in tahanan, and I'd be like, off camera telling her, okay, you're scared, hide under the bed, hide under the bed. She'll hide under the bed. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm looking around, so don't move. And then I'll peer down and she's not moving. And, I talk through the whole thing and I'm acting as the camera. So it was a one take horror film POV of the killer.
Wow. Okay. But it had all your direction.
Eventually, I find her, and of course, it's say, I'm attacking, and chocolate syrup, and she, and then we're so proud. We have this family showing. It's in color, and you can hear everything I'm saying. And I'm like, stop the thing! It's terrible. I don't know if we still have copy.
That's awesome, though. Okay.
So that was the original. I just love film. Later on, in the later years, I also just love the monsters. So it was less about doing the practical effects, but more just fascinated how they did monsters.
Okay.
And admittedly, sci-fi didn't hit the same spot for me back then, because most sci-fi looked alike.
Okay.
All the aliens look like the bug-eyed aliens. Then you had the Star Trek aliens. Star Wars had a little bit more fascination, but then parang if I was looking at Star Wars for the monsters, I'll go full monsters now. So stuff like Nightbreed, uh, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. Um, yeah, so a bunch of those were like just super, super interesting to me. And then later on, I started to go the opposite way. We're in the more normal the horror seemed to be, the better.
Like,
So that's when I super got into um, um, Outer Limits and Twilight Zone and the like. We're in. You have a group that go to this lake to enjoy the day, and then there's this black sludge, and the next thing you know, they're being hunted by this black sludge, and it kills them in the raft.
okay.
Or the classic one, he's in the airplane and looks out the wing, and there's something in the wing. So it suddenly made me so excited to imagine, oh, these things can be happening in this real setting. So that was a lot of the fascination. Scientifically, and I have a page for that, there is supposedly a psychological effect in watching horror films that people who love horror films benefit from, and that is the certain release, the catharsis of um, throwing yourself in such a terrifying moment, yet deep down knowing you're safe.
Okay.
So it's the same rush as going on roller coasters. It's the same rush, um, as in solving mysteries and the like. So it has that you want to go through that adrenaline surge, but then you want to know that you're still okay.
Okay. Okay. I see that happening. Okay. Quick comment catch up. So scrolling back, we're talking about other stuff. Noel shared he remembers Candyman and couldn't face the mirror for a month.
Oh,
Ooh.
there's a new Candyman, by the way.
But yeah, I felt the same way too when we watched it, and we watched it at home.
I wasn't freaked out by Candyman. I was more freaked out by the local version.
Which was
Um, for those who don't know, I apologize if this scars you. But there was that local story of that group that went into an out of town or a camping or an overnight at school. And then the girl tries to brush her teeth in the middle of the night.
okay.
And then as she's brushing her teeth facing the mirror, she sees a face and the reflection that's not there. So she freaks out, she closes her eyes, and she starts praying.
Okay.
And then the face starts praying as well.
Oh, great! It's a religious
And that was
monster
the
thing.
horror moment that the demon can say the prayer. And the church actually made a hoopla over this. There is a recent TikTok video that retold that story, and you now have bishops releasing na, no, that never happened because the demons cannot say the Lord's prayer. And
Okay.
but that freaked me out when I was younger. That's like super. I could not open my eyes. when I'm in front of a mirror at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I was just scared of Candyman for a while, and then it didn't help that when I was living in grandma's house at the time,
Mm-hmm.
my sister and I had a bath an adjoining bathroom to our
Mm-hmm.
two bedrooms, and then
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it just made it feel scarier for some reason. But anyway, okay. Other comments.
Yeah, so
So
Jordan Peele, the guy behind a lot of the more recent horrors, including
Get Out,
Get Out and Us,
which I still haven't watched.
wrote the new Candyman movie
Okay.
that was released.
Jay commented that Twister was one of the earliest suspenseful movies he watched.
Twister. Yeah, that was a fun movie.
Twister had a very good beginning because it really made you feel the okay, this is why you should be scared of
Mm-hmm.
Twisters.
And um, it was such a visual treat.
Mm.
I don't really recall that many movies that captured things the way Twister did. Um,
And the flying cow.
to the point that later on, with all the Storm Chaser and similar movies that had a storm scene, including Superman, um,
Wow.
I always find myself comparing it to Twister.
Twister, I think Twister holds up, and then that's why like it. On a side note, became like a long-standing special effects attractions at
Mhm.
different Universal Studios for quite a while
Yes.
because it was just so good. Okay, Mark was asking if you have recommendations for Pinoy horror.
Patayin sa Sindak si Barbara. One of the few Pinoy horrors that I really enjoyed. Um, I have to admit, I was not a fan of the sequential horrors. So the feng
Shake, rattle,
shuis,
roll. Oh,
the early Shake, Rattle, and Roll movies were good. Um, I think the one that's prominent is always the was it Alma Moreno who had that manananggal
I
transformation
I don't know.
sequence.
I've never watched any of the Shake, rattle. Well, I haven't really watched a lot of Filipino movies,
Yeah,
especially not horror.
but admittedly, I have not been a fan of how Filipino movies does horror. Um,
Why?
this doesn't hit the right spots for me.
Are there like common things you've noticed that don't seem to work for you?
When they rely on special effects, you tend to see the special effects, so that ruins it for me. When
Okay,
they rely on practical alone, they all almost always look like it's the same person doing the practical effects.
what do
So
you mean?
parang ayan na naman yung itsura ng monster na yan. Yan yung itsura in the
Ah,
other movies.
it's like the equivalent of how after Cloverfield, parang
All
every big
monsters
monster looked like the
look like
Cloverfield
Cloverfield.
monster.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
It
okay.
had that one.
Noel cites the Magandang Gabi Bayan Halloween specials.
Those are scarier, admittedly, than many of the Pinoy horrors. But that's because you are going into it with the belief
that
that
they're
these
real
were real
stories.
stories.
Yes,
And that's how, just to share it, that's how Blair Witch was when I experienced it when I was in LA. When I was in Los Angeles for a film workshop class thing, um, we were we were all invited by one of our classmates who was from LA because a bunch of us were from different parts of the world. And he was like, there's this new movie, you might want to check it out. Um, Actually, no, there's this screening that you might want to check it out. And when he was explaining it to us, we realized it was about those filmmakers who had gone missing.
mm.
Because all around on lamp posts, electric posts, on some of the walls in the malls, there were those pictures of
Uh,
"Have you seen blank?"
okay.
And
It was a whisper campaign.
yeah, so we decided to go for it. We end up being in this parking lot, as in there's no fanfare, no lights, no poster, just a dark parking lot, and there's like circles of people there, all smoking and waiting in the cold. And as we approach, we're like, are you guys here for the screening? And one guy starts saying, "Yeah, I heard they took it from the police department and blah 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 blah." So we're all like, "What the hell is this real?" We all walk in. It's not even a full theater. It's like projector on a cloth, and we're like standing and sitting here and there.
Okay.
We go home terrified. We literally go back to our dorm holding each other. A friend checking online later sa laptop na parang ano yan. There are stories. There are stories. Maybe it's real. We were freaked out.
This is the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. So when it reaches the Philippines and it's all number one horror in the United States and blah 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 blah, and then you watch it, it doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah. So context and the setup is kind of important.
Mm.
It's like going into the early M Night Shyamalan movies and knowing the twist,
Yeah.
right? Then it takes away from it. Um.
Um,
Yeah. So Mark says, "Wow, that Blair Witch experience sounds awesome."
mm.
Okay.
Sloppy Barrels, the share feng shui made her not look at mirrors for a while.
Candyman did that to me.
Opinion of the LRT from Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Oh my gosh, I don't really remember that much. Yeah, sorry, I can't answer that one. Yeah, I don't remember that story. Nothing beats the movie with the barkada who got stuck in the middle of nowhere at night, and then there's this weird diner place. I forgot the title.
Is that a local one?
I think so. I'm trying to see lang if there's a quick one.
The one with the van. Toby
Yeah.
trying to figure it out, but I don't think we're gonna figure it out with these keywords.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking about movies that tied to fears the more like it's like okay, it freaked me out for the longest time.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not like I had a particular aversion to clowns. Like now I'm like kind of man,
Mhm.
but then like when I first watched, I think it was because it was kids. It was the notion of kids fighting a
Mhm.
supernatural thing,
Mhm.
and then like oh my god, and then like the only way I could defeat it, like defeat my feeling really bad about it, was I would then I read the book. Then I read the book and like still scary, but like okay, I can handle this. I can handle books because as much as the mind's eye can be even more terrifying than any movie, but I can always put the book down
Mhm.
and then like walk away and then come back when I'm more prepared for it. So that's like so there's actually a fair amount of content I've read that could be considered horror as books, but then like I handle it so much better versus movies, and Toby knows this very painfully. Like I anticipate jump scares.
Mhm.
I like
Painfully meaning I probably have scars.
yeah. I hey no scars. I but it
Oh, sorry, it's the other arc.
but I as a coping mechanism, my brain is trying to map out what's going to happen so that
Mm.
I'm not surprised by it. But in the end, I'm still surprised
Yeah,
by
because
it.
all the more you're now anticipating, so all the
Yes.
more you're giving yourself.
I get
dread.
super wired, and then like when we watch stuff at home, and then it gets kind of stressful, scary. Then I'll normally start pacing. I'll be like, I'll be like peeking from the bedroom or
Mhm.
something. Like, I'm just really bad. I'm just really bad with it. I get so stressed. But then like I recognize there are a lot of good movies and that I want to see, but they still freak me out. Okay. How is the book compared to the movie in terms of storytelling?
Yep.
It it's always hard to compare any book to any adaptation. And then when I think movie, I'm actually thinking of the TV miniseries that first came out
Mhm.
in the late 80s, early 90s, and not the recent It movies, which I still have not seen. Um, admittedly, the TV movie series, whatever, actually isn't that scary when
Mhm.
you really like sit down to it because the effects are kind of hokey and all that. But um, the book obviously has richer character development, and then the time jumps between like what happened during the first encounter versus like what's happening in the present plays out really well, really really well. Okay, so
So I'm wondering if the movie they're mentioning is The Road.
okay, what is the premise?
Oh, no, it's different stories again.
Okay. And yes, Mark stresses when you anticipate, you scare yourself twice. I know. And see, even knowing this, I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm
Mhm.
just like, and it always happens. Like I will literally be like, I'll move and stand near or behind
You'll
Toby.
hide behind.
Yes, and then
You'll be like you'll literally be like
I don't hunch over now, but then I'll be like Tilby will be sitting, I'll stand behind him, but then I'll be like,
Yes, Tim Curry was Pennywise.
yes, in that one.
Now the thing about books is it relies on your imagination.
Yes.
So it can be scarier for some people who visualize well.
Yes.
Whereas it gets weird for others. Like me, I don't get that scared when I read the stories in the book. I can visualize it, but I don't see it as that scary compared to when I'm watching, and that freaks me out because the composition is there and all that. So I think that's where it's sometimes different. Um, oh, I lost it. There was something I wanted to share. Ah, anyway, I'll quickly go through this list of movies that are based on phobias.
Oh, okay, which is like very core to the topic because we are trying to talk about
So there's
fears.
Acrophobia, which is the fear of heights, and the movie is The Walk, the biopic of Philippe Petit, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So this wasn't a horror film, but
Oh, the Spider-Man.
it did show him on that wire tightrope thing across the two buildings, and there's a lot of super high shots.
Okay.
This one didn't hit me.
Okay.
What hits me more is when I see those stupid people doing dangerous parkour. That
Oh.
always gets me. Ugh. That tingly feeling at your palms and at your feet, wherein you
Oh,
sort of feel it.
Noel sharing, mahirap sa akin when I get jump scared. I have a fight response. So si ex puro pasa sa braso and he forced me to watch scary movie because I tend to punch. I don't punch Toby,
He doesn't.
but I do subject him to like a vice grip.
His nails dig in.
I try not
Or
to
if
do
we're
that.
holding our hands, I'd be like, the ring, because the ring is starting to crush. The fingers, pwede pa eh, but then the metal of the ring starts pinching.
Yeah.
Next movie, Aerophobia, which is the fear of flying. So Alive is the movie listed here, and it only really works
Which is ironically not about flying
because
they
it's the
crashed.
aftermath
Yeah,
of the
they
crash,
crashed.
and that is part of the horror, but not the most horrific. I think the most horrific for flying would still be those Mayday documentary shows.
Seconds from disaster.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I finished all that and now I terrified myself.
Yeah, and we would watch them like, oh, and then I'm going to Singapore this
Mhm.
week, so yay. Okay.
But yeah, airplanes, I still get freaked out at airplanes because I still can't help but always tell myself I'm trapped. If anything happens, I'm
Mm.
trapped. There's nothing I can do. Bahala na. Whereas, let's say you're in a boat, let's say you're in a car accident, let's say there's a terrorist attack, you sort of think you can do things pa. You can hide it out, you can try to survive, you can swim.
But you're trapped. So
In a
no.
plane, parang what? So,
Which is that okay? On a side note, on one of the episodes of Ty and That Guy, they were their movie list at the end of the podcast was about um the monster in the house type
mhm.
movies, and then the argument that actually it's a lot of movies where you're in a space and trapped with the antagonist, which can feel like the monster in the house. Therefore, Alien in space, despite being in space, is the monster in the house
Mm-mm.
type scenario
Mhm.
because they can't leave.
Yeah.
They can't. You can't just exit the spaceship because you're stuck with the alien.
Yeah.
And so that there is that premise.
Arachnophobia, of course, had fear of spiders. There's aquaphobia, which is the fear of water. So it lists here the Poseidon Adventure,
The
which was
original
the
Poseidon
liner
Adventure.
that capsized and they couldn't get out. The newer Poseidon Adventure is a bit more action oriented, so
Yeah,
not so
kind of
much.
stupid.
Um,
Ooh, Abyss though.
Abyss is a good one. Jaws is a good one, but more for the shark than water. I think the other one for me that makes it
I don't know
water.
why Waterworld is in this list of theirs.
I think it was just because it's like water.
Water,
You
water
can't see
everywhere,
anything
and then
but
you have no
water.
choice. Yeah.
There was this movie. What was it called?
As long as it's not Deep Blue Sea, because that was
No.
just stupid. Wow.
Open Water. Not the best movie,
Okay.
but the premise was terrifying. You had a couple that went scuba diving.
Okay.
but then may sumamang group without the main team knowing. So when the groups were all climbing on board, count off, okay, completo.
Oh, and then
So
like
they
some are
left
left behind.
and they rose up, no boat. But since completo bilang, no one's looking for them. And that was
Oh,
terrifying.
okay, okay.
Shot also to look pretty well done. So it didn't have like shots from the monster or whatever. So I got scared watching that. It's a slow boil of a horror thing. So some might find it just boring. Me, I couldn't help but find myself imagining if I was in that position. So that freaked me out.
Mm-mm. When you can relate in that degree.
Mm-mm.
Okay, let's go back to your article.
Moving on to the list. Here we have claustrophobia or fear of enclosed spaces. So they mention a bunch of movies. Ryan Reynolds' Buried was one of the ones that they mentioned as the main one.
But I don't think it's the best example. I mean, okay, it's literally the example of being in an enclosed space. But I
Yeah.
didn't feel it was that tone.
Because it still felt okay.
he's like an action hero waiting to get out.
We love Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-mm.
He's still hot, but it's the same problem as War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. When the actor is too prominent as someone you'd imagine in certain roles, you can't remove that. So
Okay.
when Tom Cruise in the War of the Worlds movie was freaking out that aliens were appearing and was running away to try to find his daughter, if I remember correctly, the whole time my brain was like, why aren't you fighting them?
Because you're Tom Cruise.
You're Tom Cruise. Likewise, in Buried, fantastic concept, horrific scenes, beautifully shot. But because it was Ryan Reynolds the whole time, I was like thinking he'll find a way out.
But to be fair, this was early Ryan Reynolds. Like he was still trying to
Yeah, but
he was trying to expand his range.
But he was already in Blade,
Yeah, he was in Blade Trinity, but
Okay,
then also later in
Amityville
Amityville Horror.
where he was hotter.
He was super hot in Amityville Horror. I watched that in the theater, and I hate horror, but like, damn, Ryan Reynolds. Okay, okay. So claustrophobia, I only like the honorable mention because they mentioned the movie that Toby tortured me with, which was The Descent.
The Descent is a amazing movie that captures the fear of claustrophobia
Oh,
so well.
My God,
And
why did he make me watch?
and there are two different versions in terms of endings. I hope you get the better ending. I cannot say more.
Oh yeah, there was that controversy.
There was that the director's cut version ending. Um, if you don't have ability to find the Descent, there is As Above, So Below, which I believe is on Netflix right now, which sort of captures the same idea. But this one is the catacombs beneath London. Sorry, Paris.
No, but Descent, goddamn Descent.
Descent is like
Goddamn
super
Descent.
good. Okay. Kill Bill scene, trapped to the coffin.
Quaint. Okay.
Colrophobia, or the fear of clowns. So, I've never felt having a fear of clowns.
Well, you've
but-
also literally been a clown.
Yeah, but I've also never felt the fear of the clown, but more of the people behind it.
What do you mean?
Um, I guess the best way to explain it is whether they're dressed as clowns or other people. I don't like people who think they're funny and are trying to be close to you.
Ooh, that is both scary and shady.
So like when
depending on
they're
the
when they're
person.
leaning close and they're like making jokes and stuff, and they're like, parang, I don't know you, don't go near me. That's what freaks me out.
Okay.
And I think that's why I think of clowns as disturbing when I have clowns like that. But like, I know friends who makita lang picture ng clown, ayoko, don't show me that.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
it's like kids who cry when they see mascots.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I remember I had a friend who freaked out whenever we'd visit McDonald's because there was the life-sized statue of Ronald outside on the bench.
Yes.
So I'd buy food and then I'd leave it on the bench.
Mm-mm.
And I'd tell him, you order mo. And then I'll go in the car.
Wow, you're a terrible friend. You're a terrible friend.
I was terrible when I was
See,
younger.
kind of boyfriend that makes you watch The Descent.
The Descent was nice. Don't you want to go rock climbing?
That wasn't rock climbing. That was worse. It was spelunking.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Xenophobia,
Fear of dogs.
which is the fear of dogs.
So,
Cujo, of
Cujo is
course,
the
is the
first
top
there.
of the list. We have the pack, man's best friend. Admittedly, I think Cujo stands the test of time. Even if you can sort of tell the special effects are there, it still is just really well done.
Mm-mm.
And the horror of being trapped in a car with a terror dog around you, I can't help but feel that left a resonating effect, which is why Jurassic Park relied on very similar scenes.
That's a good dissection.
Diba? For some reason, Jurassic Park,
The first Jurassic Park.
not just even the later ones, kept having a
Trapped in a vehicle.
trapped in a vehicle monster looking through the door or the window.
Mm. True. True.
So I
Okay.
can't help but that was a resonating
Okay.
fear.
Noel shares has friends who are scared of old porcelain dolls. That's
Yes.
legit. That's legit. And then yeah, Sloppy agrees. Overly friendly children's party clowns give her the creeps.
Yeah. But for me, because it's not just the clowns, because remember when you'd have those aunts or uncles who you don't even recognize and they're all, come here, give me a hug, and then kiss and all this and that. And you're like- Anyway, hemophobia, the fear of blood. So the thing is the one listed here. The thing is a masterpiece in body horror, which again still stands the test of time. What?
I don't like body horror. Well, I don't like horror. But I
Mm.
don't like body horror. It's like it lists. I don't know why it lists Carrie
Because of the blood, the bucket of blood.
Yeah, but then like I don't think it really makes you afraid of blood in that
Yeah,
sense.
that's true. The Shining had the blood in the elevator shaft, the corridor. I'm
Which I
sorry.
still haven't seen that movie, but
Yeah.
you know, I think I should get around to it.
For a moment, I'm like, why is it Castaway? And then, oh, that's the next one. Pala.
The fear of being
Yeah, But for a
alone.
moment, I was like, why is it?
Yeah, the image versus like is
So
weird.
monophobia is the fear of being alone. Castaway is listed as the main one. Moon is a good example of another one. He was
Moon's a
working
good
alone
movie.
in the moon. and
Moon's a
then-
good
yeah.
movie. But yeah, I mean Castaway, I got that too. Like there's a point I think midway through the movie, it's like, holy crap! It's like we're really gonna watch like Tom Hanks torture himself this whole movie. It's like it gets like very like
For me, it's less monophobia and more the monophobia the moment there's a medical something.
What do you mean?
So like that scene in Lost where he had to do a blood transfusion. Or scenes in these survival movies where they have to cut off a finger or set a bone or and I'm like, I can't, I don't want.
So it's like weird. It's medical body horror.
Yeah. So it's not the horror of being alone, but the moment someone has to fix something in the body or what, and then
Okay.
you're forced to rely on like if I in Lost, it was parang they were gonna cut off something with the shaft or the hatch.
Mhm.
Okay.
But watch Moon. That's a good movie,
Moon's really
but
good.
also stressful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sloppy, we'll get to that in a bit. Mysophobia, the fear of germs, cabin fever being one of the listed ones. I think with the pandemic, many of us have
we're living
started to
it.
feel this. Contagion, 12 Monkeys, Safe are listed. But I think the
They're not
best
great
one,
examples.
I think the best one is what was its English name? The flu movie. Which was more popularly known as Ganji, um, where the South Korean town is affected. And then more so than that one was the other one. Pandemic, right? No, not pandemic. Uh,
Was Contagion mentioned?
yeah, I think it was Contagion. I just don't remember if Contagion was the other one with the Hollywood cast. Yes, it was Contagion.
Okay.
Contagion, very, very well done depiction
Moon.
of a pandemic.
Sloppy's asking about Moon's 2009. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Moon's 2009.
Okay.
I guess Fear of Snakes is the next on the list.
course, they put anaconda,
Fear of birds,
the birds.
which is the birds. Fear of death, I think, is the most common one. Flatliners is a great one to choose here, but it feels less horror, more sci-fi.
Yeah, yeah.
I think what many will connect to Fear of Death would be Final
Final
Destination.
Destination.
There
Mm.
was always that.
Because, but it wasn't like death as a general thing. It was death as a literal active antagonist
Mhm.
because they were literally being chased by death. But oh man, really, really creative death scenes.
Mhm.
Like it's like OA death
And it's
scenes.
thanks to movies like Final Destination that later we have movies like Saw,
Why do you make this connection?
because it was all about you knew what was going to happen in terms of the horror that will happen, and
Mm.
it's this terrible knowledge they will go through it anyway.
Mm. I mean, I think the things about like especially in the first Final Destination was
Mhm.
the annoying like the water or the gas is like flowing towards them and then at the last minute turns or something and it's like what? And then I mean it was great tension
Mhm.
building things and it's like okay.
So to go back to Sloppy's mention, it's the scared of religious imagery.
Oh, that's what I felt with the statues.
So I feel it's twofold. There's the fear of it because of the religious connotations, but then that can also still be reduced to the fear of the uncanny valley sort of level of fear wherein you're fearing dolls, you're fearing
Mm.
mannequins, you're fearing
Ooh,
anything.
mannequins used to freak me out.
Diba? You're fearing something that looks familiar but isn't right,
Yeah.
and there's always that. "Meh." So I shared the same horror of how they do build some of those religious icons to follow you with their eyes,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and it's fine if you see them and it's a normal day, but if you like have to step out to use the bathroom and then the altar still has the flickering lights and you realize that Jesus is staring at you, it gets freaky.
Mm, mm.
So yeah, mannequins, I think I was super afraid of them until I played Silent Hill, and then suddenly they were cool.
Bum, 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 bum,
Old
bum.
time dolls still freak me out.
Which one? The big eyelash dolls?
That
The
that automatically open when you
mm-mm.
sit them up,
Yeah, yeah. Mama. Mama.
and then um, I don't think I'll ever be calm or okay with um, how do you describe those? It's like those. Never mind. I'll just move on.
What? Earlier, I cited one of the first things that scared me was like Return to Oz. I want to just revisit that very
Yes.
briefly because what freaked me out first were the Wheelers.
Yes, the wheelers are terrifying.
The Wheelers are very
They're
scary
super
things.
terrifying.
And then you kind of go into this like, oh, let's watch it. It's another Oz movie. This is going to be
Mm-hmm.
delightful. And then it's this dystopian Oz.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know what was scarier beyond that because like the Wheelers were terrifying because they were like actively chasing you. But then there was the main villain who was Mombi,
Mm-hmm.
who could take her head off
Yes.
and had other heads. And then even the what was this? The Troll King, the Rock King? I can't remember, but the see the clay animation face.
Mm-hmm.
He was quite scary. So there were like so many things scary about that thing that oh my god. So I looked, but then I held on to it because it had a robot.
Mm-hmm.
It had TikTok, the Mechanical Man, and then I don't know that a lot of my early entertainment ventures I get distracted by the fact that but there's a robot, so I'm gonna watch it. So yeah, I got better with Return to Oz over time, but it still gives me the chills
So
sometimes.
Swana shares freaking out with a room full of porcelain dolls, the baby room. Sloppy Barrels also shares the stories of moving Santo Niños. I had a
Mm,
phase of
mm,
super
mm,
being
mm,
fascinated with
mm.
moving statues and the like.
What do
Because
you mean?
if you search YouTube, so you have the fakers, the people who stage it.
Yeah.
You have the stupid videos locally where look, it's dancing. Look, oh wow, the shark is dancing on its own. You see what I mean? But yeah, there's a bunch of them, and trust me, they have churches and chapels around it. Um, but then I love the ones that are not fake. So like there was that museum
Mm.
where the security camera would catch the statue seemingly turning,
Okay.
and later on they realized it was micro vibration from
Um.
passing traffic, so it would like literally slowly turn.
Oh. Okay.
So it's
Okay.
stuff like that which are amazing. And then you have others naman wherein the statues look like they're moving their eyes. But then the study was because it's the old form of video, which was vertically, I forgot the term, but it was
Ah.
vertically
Yeah. Yeah.
facing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scanning. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes when it scans, the resolution for the eye area nagiging black, nagiging plain. So mukhang nagbiblink.
Oh.
So it's stuff like that, and it's super
That's why you
fascinating.
gotta adjust tracking on your video, ladies and
And
gentlemen.
that was the parang one of the videos was like, I can't wait to see high resolution video camera still showing the same thing.
Mm.
Because then I'd be,
Then
then,
that's scary.
yeah,
Then that's scary.
some stuff like that.
So sloppy brow. Yes, Return to Oz is an old. It's a 1985 movie, and it's actually a Disney release, but the beginning scares the heck out of me
Hmm.
because it's this dystopian Oz, and then all the and then like then you see many of the familiar Oz heroes have been turned to stone, and there are these giant monsters with wheels for arms and legs who
Hmm.
are like maneuvering all over the place. So yeah, it's like
Shepard
okay,
Noel tosses in a friend reference.
okay,
The Phoebe saw a different Cujo.
yeah.
Noel shares best friend is scared of Alice in Wonderland. I totally get that. Oh, Noel's leaving now. Good night.
Good night, Noel.
So I guess to bring this towards a close, um, some movies that I'd recommend you check out if you want to try exploring different horror. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're freaked out at the thought of home invasion,
Ah,
people coming into your house, many will state The Purge as the horror film for me.
but you're gonna say something else. I think I know what you're gonna say, but go on.
Which one?
No, no, just go on.
Which one?
Just go, just go.
Home invasion, not secret neighbors. That's different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hate secret agents.
So for home invasion, I will have to choose Fun and Games. Funny Games was the name of the movie. Um, the other version was Strangers. They were
That one
two,
I know.
yeah, they were two different movies that approached it in the same way. Uh, one was literally people come to the door and they hi hello and we'd like to talk to you, and it goes downhill from there. I don't want to spoil it. The other one was the opposite end, wherein the protagonist never realized that the people have gone in already.
Hmm?
So it's a lot of the person just there going in the kitchen cooking, and then you'll notice in the edge of the screen, may sumilip, nasa loob na siya. And then cuts to the living room, the guy's reading the book, and then in the background you notice the guy's going upstairs. So it's like, "Wah!" So yeah, that's the first two that I'll offer.
I
Um,
don't like the sounds of these movies.
if you like survival horror type of stories, then I'd always recommend High Tension. It was if I remember correctly, it's a French film. But when you're done watching it and you realize it was so good and then it got crappy, know that that was my feeling because there was a point in the movie that should have been the ending, but they decided to M Night Shyamalan.
Ah, okay,
So it was parang sayang.
okay.
Descent will always be a high recommendation. Descent, 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 Descent. No matter how luma the effects already are,
No, it's
so well
terrifying. It's
done.
terrifying.
So well done.
It's terrifying because it's a lot of sustained tension. It's like you come in knowing it's going to be a horror movie experience to some degree,
Mhm.
and then but it takes so long before something really bad
Yes.
happens.
Yes. Funny Games was a 2007 movie. Um, the poster, if you see it, is the two guys in white clothes. Sometimes the poster is just a super close up of the face that's terrified. The less you know about the film, the more interesting it will get for you. But yeah.
Okay, okay.
And then in terms of other modern movies, Hereditary is really well done. I did not realize how much I'd appreciate it. I had to stop in the middle of the film because it got too much. And that scene was a calm scene. But parang all the dread surrounding that calm moment, I had to like time out.
I still haven't watched this, and
Mhm.
the way you talk about it, I'm really not going to.
It did rely on jump scares at some points, but the jump scares were nothing compared to the dread bomb that it threw.
Mm.
In terms of super depressing movies, less horror but really heavy, that will be Dancer in the Dark, which starred Bjork of all people. She was on death row and she goes through this um, steps leading to her death, and oh my god, it's so heavy. I can't believe that I felt that way, despite knowing it was Bjork.
Okay.
Um, Jaws, we cannot ignore Jaws. It is worth every single droplet of horror. Even if you see the shark and you're like, oh my god, that looks so fake, it is still so
It's
well
still
done.
very well done. Still
Because
very well
it's a
done.
nice cinematography was so on point for a horror film. And then was there anything we missed?
I will just throw in because things that I can tolerate is like the original Alien.
Yes, I was gonna say Alien na lang hindi ko pa na-mention. Because Alien is like Jaws, minus the it looks so fake.
Yeah.
Alien never looked fake. It is so well done. It still is better than all the other Alien films that went after it.
It's totally
Aliens,
different
yeah,
from the rest.
Aliens is only better in the sense of its action.
Yes. But
But
yeah, the first Alien is still horror. The
yeah,
second Alien is an action movie.
and then all other Alien movies don't know what to do.
Mhm.
They're still good to watch, but parang Alien as a horror, Alien. Alien as action, Aliens because it's the only action film. All the others parang
Yeah, they wanted to take away the it felt like too much of a handicap. But
or it became super sci-fi, like Alien Resurrection, who had
oh
Ripley the android and
yeah,
Winona
yeah.
Ryder, and
Alien 3 though was like a really like they were trying to go back to the
yeah,
horroriness, but it didn't quite go
three.
there.
Okay, the sadness of Alien 3 was that wasn't the movie he wanted to make,
Yeah.
because Alien 3 is by David Fincher, if I remember correctly, who did Seven,
Mm-mm.
um, and he wanted such a um, grittier story in that prison planet, but he
Mm-mm.
wasn't allowed to do so.
Not quite related. But then I was thinking about movies with fears, and then syempre there's like Copycat, which is
Mm,
not a horror movie. It's a suspense thriller
yeah.
type thing. But then like it had an agoraphobic protagonist,
Mm,
and of course, parang towards the end, it would be putting her in situations
mm,
that would make her need to face her agoraphobia. And of course, it's still Sigourney Weaver,
yeah.
but that thing still terrified the bejesus out of me.
Another good one is Panic Room,
Oh yeah, Panic Room is
which
like
was one of the few movies before Twilight where she actually has acting chops.
oh okay. I was like, why are you bringing up Twilight? I'm like, oh,
Right?
because I keep thinking
That was
Jodie
her.
Foster, but then she was like
Jodie
the
Foster was excellent in that movie.
because it's Jodie Foster.
But then House was terrifying. That was House, right? No, sorry, I'm mixing it up. That's Home Alone. See, that's how my brain works.
Maybe this is part of your defense mechanism against horror.
My brain works with patterns. See, it's so weird.
Mm.
Okay, but yeah, Panic Room. Panic Room is awesome. Tom mentions Identity as
Not
good
horror, more
suspense, not
suspense.
horror.
Okay.
I guess for me, Identity didn't work as well because I knew what was gonna happen.
Mm.
So it didn't have the same impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense, we can never ignore. Worth the watch. Still has the good thrills.
And
Still
it's
has
like
that.
even when you know the end, it's still worth watching again because then you still see like, oh wow, they
And
were so consistent.
and it's um that scene in the car still is so powerful.
Yes.
Even if you've seen the movie so many times.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's acting. That's a master class of acting.
Mm. What are we gonna talk about for the rest of October? I feel like this already like we've covered a lot of like
Oh, there's
horror
lots we
stuff.
can cover in the rest of October. Um, I'm trying to think if there's any last things that we whether I did mention that are worth watching.
Um,
Let the Right
um,
One In.
the original.
Yes, the original foreign language one is a beautiful vampire horror story.
Yes. Yes.
The remake, the American remake, you can pass.
That's sad, but it is true. And we watched it, and then as someone who can't handle horror, like
Mm-mm.
meh.
Um, an indie gem would be It Follows,
Oh god damn it! I haven't even seen the whole thing, but
right?
the parts that Toby's maybe see, it's like, oh my god, what is this?
It's a
Although
subtle,
we did watch it, you did
amazing
make me
film.
watch the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh god, oh god,
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
Ugh.
It Follows. Let the
Uh,
Right One In was called Let Me in the American version, if I remember correctly.
Let the Right One In is 2008, Swedish.
Yeah.
It's billed as a romantic horror movie.
Yes. And I love uh, uh, Ellie. I forgot how to pronounce it in the movie. Amazing, amazing role.
Okay, okay, but yeah, It Follows was just so freaky. Like it's literally a movie built on dread. Like
Mhm.
the very premise of the thing is just dread.
I guess I can then shift to movies that I really wanted to enjoy but didn't. Oh wait, sorry. Before I close to that one, um, Haunting of Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, both excellent, well done movies.
The series, yeah,
Yeah, series.
Netflix series.
And then Get Out. Can't ignore Get Out. Get Out is amazing for a new horror story.
Yeah, I know I have to watch that one.
Yeah, Us was okay. Get Out was still better than Us.
Okay.
And then the ones that are special mention, but I wish I could really appreciate it. Oh shit, forgot to mention Event Horizon. Event
Oh,
Horizon deserves a
Toby.
place.
Okay, sure. Yeah. See, and then I can handle that because it's sci-fi.
Mhm.
There's all these sci-fi horrors that I can handle because it's science fiction. And then I guess because it's like I find solace in the it's my world
Mhm.
kind of feeling.
So good horror that didn't quite make the mark for reasons I would. So the Conjuring series, as odd as it sounds, is very well done.
Mm.
But I think what makes me enjoy it is what makes it not a horror film for me.
Which is
I feel it's pulp.
oh okay
As
okay.
stupid as that sounds, it's it's non super powered hero stories, and
Mm.
that's why I love The Conjuring. Um, in the same token, um, um, what was that?
Mm, mm, mhm, mm, mm, mhm,
I lost
mhm.
it. There was the one I was gonna talk about. Yeah, it's gone. But The Conjuring actually is fun watching. Oh, there I remember the Saw series.
Oh, which is Toby's like rewatching.
No, I'm watching the latest one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because it's funny. So it was Saw 1 to 7, if I remember correctly, and then they go to Jigsaw, and then they go to ah. Let
Let's
me.
just pull it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Saw franchise. So it started with Saw, and then it continues to a bunch of movies called Saw 2, Saw 3, etc. By Saw 6, it stops and has Saw 3D. Then it jumps to a movie called Jigsaw. And then now the latest one is this movie called Spiral. And it's still all drawing back from the original premise of this guy who kills people as punishment, but it has to be by their choice. And I will have to admit, it's hokey fun. It's gory. It's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but it's much smarter than most will expect. And I think that's why it won me over.
Okay. I have not watched any of it.
Yes, Sloppy, the series, the franchise, I think the better word is the franchise is still ongoing. And it super shocked me that the latest one, Spiral, Chris Rock is the lead role.
Mm.
And I did not recognize him. I just realized it was him when I was hearing his voice while watching. And then Samuel L. Jackson shows up in it as well. So I was very impressed to find those two actors in this movie.
Any
Uh,
other things you want to bring up at this point?
I guess my last one is
Mm-hmm.
if you want to dive back to classic horror, go through the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Only because you'll see everything from pure horror, which is one, to the sexual
Exploitation.
exploitation horrors, to fantasy horrors. Um, if you're into role playing games, there is one Nightmare on Elm Street movie we're in. One of the guys was a geek. So when he realizes he's in a nightmare, these are dreams that I can do anything I want. I'm a wizard. And he starts fighting with magic. It's crazy awesome.
How far in should someone go though? Like
All the way because it goes.
because it goes all the way to fighting Friday the 13th.
Yes, and then even beyond that, there's the reboot where they try to tell a more modern story, and the original actor playing Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, if I remember correctly, cameos na lang as a janitor.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it's fun horror, and I think that's what I enjoy about horror sometimes, that it can just be fun horror. Dream Warriors, yes, that was it. The third one. You will also see a very young Johnny Depp, I think, in the first one.
Yes, and he has the most
The bed.
sexual bed scene without sex, but like it's because that's where his nightmare happens, and he's like in boxers.
Mhm.
I remember this much and like ooh okay.
But Nightmare,
It made me feel things.
Nightmare was really well done, despite its hokiness. And I think what it loses in the modern versions is there was an inherent. There were rules that the movies followed,
Okay.
and then later on, parang the hell with the rules now, we'll change things.
Mm.
So it didn't make sense. In the earlier ones, you get why you'll eventually get as you watch the movies why Freddy does what he does.
Oh, okay.
Because like some of the things you'll think is why don't you just kill them kagad, and it makes sense later on. But then they
Okay.
throw that away afterwards.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
This is really not my topic, you know. It's like because like movies that scare you. Many movies scare me.
What movie scared you the most?
Scared me the most? The Descent.
Really, it's
It
was it because it was the first, or it just really still strikes you?
it
the
just still I don't know. I think
even more than Jaws.
yeah, Jaws doesn't scare me.
Hmm.
I think it's because it was relatable enough. Like I could totally imagine like which I'm not even a spelunker,
Mhm.
but it's like if this happened to us, like, oh my god.
And then,
Oh my
then
God.
since it's all unknowns, all the more you buy in that
Yeah.
this is what's happening.
It's like it's relatable enough that you know it could happen, but then it's not something I know. And then, so like when we went to Palawan, it's like, okay, it's kind of creepy doing this underground river thing. It's super dark.
And then there's like the drops every now
yeah,
and
then I
then.
could really like Toby. I was like trying to enjoy, like, I'll just take pictures, I'm just like, I'm taking control of the moment by, documenting this adventure we are on. But it was quite scary.
Mhm.
It was quite scary. I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I mean, like, there's a lot of things that, like, I get jump scare freaked out
Mhm.
a lot and all that. I'm trying, but yeah, I think it's like one thing that really stands out is the descent. So that's really one, like, more than anything else. And I think it's because nga, it it didn't really rely on gore. It didn't really
Mm.
rely on like cheesy effects so
Mhm.
much. I mean, like, it's
It knew how to
it's in your head.
it knew
It
how
gets
to
in your
use
head.
dread. Yeah.
Yes, it gets in your head super
Oh,
well.
now I remember that last one that parang could have been horror, but is it Insidious? Because it has frigging Darth Maul.
Yeah, Toby will always bring up this Darth Maul thing.
I don't know why they decided to do the monster that way. And I am surprised there are people who are sobrang, oh my god, it's so scary. The demon looks so scary. And I'm like, it's Darth Maul.
Cause even things like what's this? Uh, damn it, I forgot the.
What's the premise?
No. Well, one was like we tried watching. I think one of the what was it? Paranormal Activity.
Mm-hmm.
That was like just kind of cheesy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I see what you're doing. Oh, I was saying Blair Witch. Like the first time, like you maybe sit through and watch Blair Witch,
Mm-hmm.
and like towards the end, like okay, this is like it gets
The build up
freaky.
in the house.
It gets very freaky. It gets very freaky, and like I had difficulty with that too. But yeah, it's the descent.
Mm.
It's like I never want to watch it again because like I still remember it so much, even though I probably don't remember it as well as I think I do. But it's like
And yet, despite all these horror, I can't watch stuff like um, what was that? Well, I'll search it na lang. I'll embarrass myself.
no. Let's talk about it. What movie?
One, see, I had it right in my head. 127 hours,
Oh, we still haven't watched that actually.
which was the movie based on Arlon Ralston.
Because again, it's like it's a quote unquote medical procedure and an outside
Yes.
medical. Yeah,
For those who are wondering, that's the biographical survival drama where I don't know what to call him, adventurer, rock climber, whatever,
Mm-mm.
gets his hand pinned in the rock, and then realizes that he will die of starvation unless he frees himself, despite having nothing but a pocket knife. Yes,
Um.
The Shallows is fun to watch.
Oh, this is how I was remembering the mist big up. But like no, that
Actually, no. The Mist movie is well done, despite being hokey horror.
yeah, and
It has a great ending.
it becomes a bit more sci-fi. It doesn't feel as horror. So then I could
Mhm.
handle it a bit better.
But the ending was powerful.
yes, yes, yes.
And then stuff like Bird Box and the stuff. I think they're just fun movies.
I
They're nice
listened.
thrills.
I listened to the audiobook. So then when we watch the movie, like see, that's my defense against horror. It's like I have to read the book and then I can handle the movie better because nga I'm like slightly forewarned of like I
Mm.
know what's happening. Then it helps me. Then I don't cut off Toby's blood circulation. Okay.
Okay, so I guess that's it. I'm looking if there's anything else. Um, okay, I guess to close, when War of the Worlds first came out,
Oh my god, which War of the Worlds? Like the
the
original
radio play,
radio play. Okay.
it freaked everyone out
Yeah.
because no one knew it was a radio play.
Yeah, so
The
especially
format-
if you tuned in, it felt real.
The format was a news report, and it freaked everyone out.
Yes.
The closest we had to that, um, well, for the United States, that was Blair Witch, in the sense that they marketed it that way. But prior to Blair Witch, there was another one which was released on TV called Asteroid Without Warning.
Yes, I was knew you can bring this up. Okay.
Sadly, there's no way to experience the genius of it without being spoiled now. Because the only way you'll find it is if you look for it.
Yeah.
But Asteroid Without Warning was a movie. The entire movie was shot as news reports
Yes. So it
of,
was trying to do War of the
of
Worlds.
asteroids supposedly coming to hit the Earth, and it cuts to different people on the road, interviews, and this and that. Um, Amazingly well done despite its time. Sadly, if you watch it now, syempre, you know it's a movie, so it won't hit you as hard. But
And like it doesn't. It's like it looks hokey now by now. So like
Mhm.
it doesn't stand the test of time. Definitely.
um,
But it was a good concept.
another recent attempt at that one was Grave Encounters, which was it was ano naman, supposedly um, horror. Let's reality show. Let's look at this hospital,
Mm,
and then during the live broadcast, shit happens.
okay. Okay.
And then a similar one was done by um, the not Black Mirror show we love.
The not Black Mirror show. We
Number
love.
9,
Oh. Inside number.
inside
nine.
number 9,
Okay.
when they had their Halloween special.
Their Halloween. Oh, that was a good. Oh, okay, that was
Yeah.
scary. That was scary. That was scary.
So don. So I guess that's how we can close. Um, the last type of horror that I think that can leave phobias or that can touch on phobias are when horrors um, are approached without you knowing fully. And of course, there's the cry that it's irresponsible, that you're subjecting people to it without them knowing it. But I think in many ways, art will always have those rough edges. Whether it's guerrilla filmmaking, whether it's um, flash mob dances and the like, or even theater in the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have sudden improv performances, and people don't know it's theater, diba? But then you have people arguing, but it's part of this performance, and again, art will always have its moments where it will test you with the unexpected.
So just to be clear about Inside Number Nine, so the Halloween special was 2018, and it's called Deadline,
Yes,
and it was
Deadline.
originally broadcast live.
Yes.
More importantly, Toby, there's a series 6.
Yes,
We haven't gotten it.
there
yet.
is.
Okay.
I've been waiting for it. I'm afraid to look for it because baka spoil. Maybe we can just ask our friends to see if they can.
Yeah,
find it.
yeah, okay.
But I guess that's what we'll leave you with. Look up Asteroid Without Warning if you can. Look up Grave Encounters. Look up. Um, Actually, Inside Number 9. Watch the whole series. That's so worth
It's a
it.
good series.
It's better than Black Mirror in many instances. Not naman always, but in many instances.
It's also kasi not as it doesn't have as narrow a focus na. It's not just about technology. It's just
Oh.
about
And then I think I'll save it for a different episode. I'll have to give props to the whole new genre of horror brought about by Blair Witch. Not necessarily being the first, but the most popular, which is the found footage.
found footage. Okay.
The found footage genre. I think that deserves an episode
Sure.
because it's like parang what War of the Worlds did. They wanted to accomplish it
Mhm.
despite knowing it's in the movie theater.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's all for tonight. My elbows and arms survived without Rocky making pisil too much. Because your nails dig in when you're like super frantic.
Why, you think you're gonna make me super frantic just talking about these things?
Mali ko ba? Mamaya. Like that. He's holding me like that. Right?
You made me watch The Descent.
But thank you so much for watching. We had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
For questions or suggestions for future episodes, you can fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas.
It's October, so yes, toss in all the horror-related topics you can think of.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RG Suniko.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know, what are those movies that tied into your deep-seated childhood fears or maybe caused them. Yeah, we'd like to hear the stories. And be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Good night, everyone.